Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Zach Miller, and that is Van Applegate. Van, say hi.
Hey guys. Hey Zach.
This is the inaugural edition of the No Whale Hunting Show. We thank you guys for being with us today. The reason we're here is because we are huge advocates for the growth of your local internal businesses. And for the last 18 months or so, people in my region, people in my city, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Virginia, have uh, started kind of this talk around no whale hunting, and we've put together more of a campaign for it to really try and homegrown your own local companies and to champion them. And most recently, about a month ago, put on a State of the Startup community address in our area and really kind of kicked off that no whale hunting kind of movement. And it's really stirred up the pots, and immediately other communities have resonated with the concern and the growth of their communities, and that's kind of where Van came into this. So, Van, where are you?
Hello? I lost you.
Oh, hey, technology. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. I missed you for the last 2 seconds there.
Yeah, so, Van, tell us a little bit about where you are, what you're working on, and why this is important to you.
Yeah, sure. Sorry about that. Well, I mean, we've really taken no whale hunting kind of literally in the sense that you've provided it. We as an organization are supporting small businesses in a small town, and so
What
the notion.
and what town is that?
It's in Charlestown, West Virginia. So our group, Discover Downtown Charlestown, has been trying to promote not only the small businesses but all of the town aspects that go into making a small town vibrant. I myself have taken an expressed interest in making sure that our small businesses are becoming as powerful and as productive as possible online to promote their brand and their business. The idea of no whale hunting, however, has excited me because of where we are in the state of West Virginia. Um, and so the idea being, obviously, no whale hunting, no expressed interest in large businesses, and giving those businesses some sort of advantage over what a small business could offer. It's not that we're anti-small business. It's that's, I think, been a long conversation point since no whale hunting has been out. Is that it's not a notion of big business or small business. It's just a notion of a level playing field and trying to start a conversation about what it is that small businesses can bring to the table for municipalities, state, and local municipalities. And it's really just about starting that conversation. And since I've been promoting it, I've gotten into some very interesting conversations about what it is that's truly limiting small businesses today.
And what are some of those things?
Well,
Policy?
I mean, it's just you have the lack of a large voice for small businesses. There's so many great organizations out there for different municipalities and different state to bring their voice to a state level or larger. There's so many great organizations out there, but they lack a unification. They lack there's no lack of ambition. It's a communication problem. So you have so many small business authorities, development centers, startup business accelerators that have a lot of great activity, but no real way to compete against large businesses for the attention that's needed from state and local leaders. And so the idea of no whale hunting would be that kind of uniting voice, kind of a rally point for all small businesses and causes that are needed.
Well, and not to mention, and I'm going to get this fact incorrect, but something along the lines of, for every dollar that's spent from a local company, 65% of that is reallocated back into the community, where with a larger chain-like franchise, something only like 20% of that money is actually put back in. Obviously, there's reasons why, but from a financial standpoint, it's good from a community standpoint to to grow your own community and to champion it. And what was interesting is to me is here in Norfolk, I think we have a pretty tight knit community, and a lot of growing businesses, but I don't think we do a very good job of marketing that. And so the whole kind of concept behind it was, let's kind of inventory what we have, and then really use that as our advantage, and then kind of push hard on that no whale hunting thing as well. And so the concept of whale hunting is not something new.
Right.
Not original at all. Maybe putting the no in front of it in a hashtag is, but it's definitely not an original thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, much like Norfolk, that you've done in Norfolk, we've had in Charlestown been trying to promote the businesses to their fullest potential. And like you said, no whale hunting. The idea of corporations vying for special interest within a city or within a state is nothing new. But it's very much a industrial economy or post-industrial economy mindset, where those businesses were kind of competing for each other for special turf or ideal locations along interstate corridors or along rail lines. Those kind of lobbying techniques are very industrial and post-industrial mindset. We live in a connection economy now, and so there's a lot of.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, our economies are no longer based on location as much as they were. And even if they are, if you're talking about a large shipping plant or a manufacturing center that needs to be along a north-south, east-west corridor, they're going to go there regardless of what sort of tax incentive or breaks are going to be needed.
They're there because they have to be there from a location standpoint.
Right, they have to be there. There's very little say or pull in what those large companies are going to do. They're going to go where they need to go, and they have the capital to do that. And the support structure that's needed for them is going to be, it's going to be pennies compared to what a small business would need to survive. So you have these interests, competing for attention and for state and local dollars. But
you can't blame the companies either, because anyone that could get, a huge reduction.
No, and I don't, and that's the big misconception, is that this is somehow a way of us, trying to, fault big corporations. I support.
Favorite company ever for me is Walmart, and they're Fortune 1. So
yeah, I mean, well, everybody fights the Walmart coming to town until they need a plunger at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? I mean, it's like,
well, the amount of jobs. And is it Walmart that just went to $9.99 in a month? Those are huge opportunities for people, and what Walmart does, do some amazing things for community. And by the way, it's based out of Arkansas.
Yep.
So I'm sure that state is doing far better that Walmart has come to where they are than where they aren't. I'm for big businesses. I'm for those opportunities that they bring, because they do bring stability to a community, where if all you're doing is taking risk on small businesses or startups, which that's the game I'm in, totally understand how risky it is, because I live it every day. If we only play that game, absolutely, you're going to be literally just jumping off a cliff. However, it's finding ways to connect those things. And one of the things that I think is very interesting about just some of the ways, their techniques or strategies, is it seems often that the whales that people are trying to recruit don't even make sense in one's backyard.
Yes. I mean, we can talk about specific cases, but yeah, I mean, the notion is, these businesses, they're fighting. A lot of them are fighting for space that is not very relevant to what it is they're doing.
And when something goes bad years later,
They're gone.
because they have no.
Right. I mean, take take Wheeling, West Virginia. I spent 4 years living in Wheeling, and I was during the peak of the decline of the steel manufacturing jobs. You know, large businesses employing 3 to 5,000 people per manufacturing plant, with several of them along the Ohio River. When those leave, it's a vacuum, and so the vested interest in getting them to town, I think, was very lucrative for a short period of time, and that's kind of the idea behind all of what we're talking about is don't spend so much of your time and energy for one single business or one type of business, and really spread the wealth and try to incorporate the small businesses as much as you're incorporating the big ones. That's the idea, I think, behind no whale hunting, at least for me in my geographic area, so to speak. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be different for everyone. I think we all have, we have the same kind of core.
Exactly.
But it's what you do with it, that makes your community unique. And I think what makes ours unique is, our big push is to champion local businesses, and that's kind of the big push that we go with it, is to say, look what we have. Stop trying to say, what if we just had this? Instead, say, let's look at the inventory, which, by the way, we've done. So look at it, and then say, oh wow, I didn't know those things happen where you're located or in your backyard. And so oftentimes people want something, but instead they don't realize that they already have it. And one thing that I'll admit that I was very wrong at was I thought it was going to be very quick to turn things around. And I read a book once and told me, building a community takes 20 years to really come full circle. And from what I've been doing, once I stopped my old career and started a new career, I'm about 4 years into this. So today might be year 4, right? We've made huge progress, but we're just starting to hit that kind of general public. Maybe, and even though you're in a newspaper, you're on a magazine somewhere, the general public still doesn't know about you. When someone goes, hey, do you know about Hatch? Nope. I go, damn. You can get so far with some people, but not even.
Well, that's what I was getting at with your organization and a lot of other small business administrations throughout the country. The lack of ambition is not the problem. The lack of communication is the problem. And so you have a lot of organizations that are doing incredible work that just aren't being seen by the right people to make the difference and to let them know that there is a unified voice in this industry. And I'm thinking you left to go get coffee.
Well, and I think one great example. Can you see my dog? Yep, there he is. That's another thing we're trying to do: make Norfolk the most dog-friendly business community in the world. Is when you can give your money a little differently and give it back. Try and do that. And that's something that we try and. An example is recently a donut shop in town closed, and you hear, I can't remember the guy's name, but you hear him talk when you go in. He was like, dude, I've been here since 7 p.m. last night cooking, and I'm not going to leave until 4 p.m. So you do your quick math and you go, is this guy like crazy? I mean, how and people push it, and I think. It's hard because from a marketing standpoint, a smaller business doesn't have the marketing dollars that a Walmart does and not even to slash prices like they say, but just they don't have the resources that a lot of other people do. And it's something that I think when people get behind it, and I think there has been a big push for your own businesses or your own small businesses and getting behind them, and I think it's something that will continue to grow. Now, is it our future? Is it something or is robots going to take over everything? Who knows? But we know that for the next 5 to 10 years, that's probably not going to be the case. So if you can support your local companies, if you can, we used to drink a generic brand coffee, and I just thought about this since I'm drinking it. We used to not a generic brand, a large brand.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee was fine. Most coffee doesn't taste great. Maybe it's because I don't put sugar and cream in it. I just drink it black. Anyway, then I found out, because I was watching a show called The Apprentice, that the coffee manufacturer on the show was actually in our backyard in Portsmouth, Virginia. Apparently the beans, the coffee beans are roasted or grown in Suffolk, and then in Portsmouth they're packaged or something like that. And so there, I look on the box and it says, proudly packaged or whatever it says in Portsmouth, Virginia, which is, literally right across the water right there. And so it's like, okay, that's a big business that has outsourced or done expanded locations and is providing some of the world's, or at least nation's, top coffee. How can I support them, and talk them up? And so that's a great example of a huge business.
Yeah, we have one here, Black Dog Coffee, and just outside of Charlestown. It's just the same thing. And I think you brought up a good point. A lot of us that try to do this, right, that try to promote the small businesses, we say a lot, and it really, I think, it goes a long way, but we have to actually, walk the walk. And every time you try to find somebody who's doing something local, you support it. But then again, the term local business, I think, is also a catch-22, because it has a small feel to it. Whereas, like you said, a lot of these businesses are doing big things. So giving them the term a local business is maybe doing a disservice. So we got to try to figure out maybe better vernacular or whatever. But just a business, we're supporting businesses. It's not so much a local or a small or a mom and pop. You're supporting these businesses. They're employing people. They're manufacturing goods. They're helping the economy. And so, no whale hunting, I think, just brings all that to the table and shows that these companies are vying just as much as and in large part are going beyond what larger companies are doing as far as risk-taking ability to be a part of their economy.
If you're watching this right now and you are a business in a community that is going through one of the problems that we're talking about or has the solution, reach out to us. You can do it in many different ways. You can comment below. You can email us. He's Van, V-A-N, at charlestownnow.com. And I'm Zach at Hatch Norfolk, NORFOLK.com. We love to hear your stories. This is not a Charlestown and a Norfolk, Virginia Beach story. This is two communities that are 6 hours away. Is that true? 6-7 hours away?
Yeah, a little less than that.
Probably 4. Well, depends on traffic, right? 4.5 hours.
It's been a while since I've made the trip, unfortunately.
And so several hours away, but we see this happening in many different places. One of the craziest things when we started Hatch almost 3 years ago was when other cities started reaching out, saying, how are you doing what you're doing? What do you mean? I'm not doing anything special. But to them, we were able to do things that they were not able to achieve. And still to this day, we still do that, even to cities that are closer to us than these other communities. And I think the whole goal with not only this story that we're telling, this podcast, this show that we're putting on, is to learn from others and to bring other communities together and to support the growth of their communities, so that together we have a strong nation and we can create jobs and opportunities for people. This is me running for president here,
Right. Well, I mean, but you it sounds so simple, and you and I have talked at length about how Charlestown Now has also garnered that kind of attention from others.
Tell us about this. Is crazy. So it snowed about 19 feet It seemed like 19 feet here. Probably 3 inches on Tuesday. And how many inches did you get on last Tuesday?
Snow?
Yeah.
Tuesday we got about 5 inches.
Okay, 5 inches. Van posted a picture that I thought was a TBT. A look back in time. Tell us the story about what that was and how your community has come together to support its businesses.
Well, yeah, well, no, that was actually a volunteer firefighters breakfast, and so what that shows is a willingness for people to show up for their volunteers. But
with 5 inches of snow on the ground.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was not when I woke up in the morning and I saw what was on the ground. I said I better go to this thing so they at least have somebody show up, right? We had been helping promote what it was that was going on, and I was just blown away, Zach. This community is strong. The people here care very much about their organizations, big and small, in the volunteer fire department. No one's not going to rally behind right, your volunteer fire department. But what it showed to me was this, is that if you have a cause that is near and dear enough, you're going to get people to show up. And I don't know what they ended up bringing in that day, but I can assure you that
a couple hundred people is what it looked like.
Oh my God! And it was from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or something like that. So it was 12 hours of that, and they didn't have a down moment. So it was good, and even better yet, the kids were off school, so everybody showed up. But that just went to show something that is this: people care about their community, and whether it's a volunteer fire department or any other nonprofit or small business.
And there goes Van. This is live technology, folks.
Oh, did I lose you?
Yep, but that's okay. Small town USA. Kidding, Van, kidding. They're not going into that story. No, I think sometimes you look at some of these communities that are very small, 100, 200, 300,000 people, that have a huge following. I think one of the stronger, if we're talking about, technology startup communities is Boulder, Colorado, and they're less than 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. They have some, and you just see things like that, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Community with millions. Or right outside of a huge metro like Charlestown, or a region like Norfolk that's 1.7 million people, and you're getting crushed by a town that's got 100,000. I think it's more about being nimble, though, right? Being able to make decisions quickly, stop beating around the bush, and just do it. And I think that's why you've been able to see some of the success that you have. And
yeah, and I think the other thing that helps us, and I can't say this for every small town, but we're blessed. We're surrounded by growth pockets. We have growth north, south, east, and west of us, and so we're able to kind of draw in those people and really cater to what it is people from each of those towns might be looking for. We're 60 miles outside of Washington, D.C., so then again, that also plays a large hand in how bigger, larger companies would look for us as a cheaper alternative to being in the DC Metro. And like I said,
you build the landscape, build the platform for
exactly.
the places. That's something I push a lot. I said, and that's one thing with no whale hunting that I think a lot of people. Sorry if you guys can hear the construction. They are building a hotel literally 10 yards that way, which is great. But I think that's something from a no whale hunting standpoint that when people are talking about growth can be painful, right? It can. There are some things that can be a challenge, but if you really want something, you have to fight for it, and that's something that we stress a lot, and hopefully people understand that if you want something, you have to go for it. You can't just expect them to come to you, because they're not going to come to you. But if you create a platform, you create the landscape to have strong talent in your backyard, strong businesses, no matter what the sector, you have a good shot at doing those kind of recruiting those whales in a different way. And so imagine if you had a great example, I think, is in North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, and where their beer community has become one of the highest because they just started these local brewery things 5-10 years ago, maybe less, maybe more. I don't know the years. And they would focus on just having great local breweries, or creating local breweries. And now you have some of the larger breweries in the country and the world starting to locate there, having a second headquarters, a second location, because they saw it as such a great place. I think they have something like, I don't even want to say the number, but hundreds of breweries or something crazy like that in that kind of pocket of North Carolina. And it's championing what you have, and by doing that, you get the opportunity to potentially grow other things. I think a great example of that is kind of when Stone Brewing was going and looking at different locations and saying, where would it be good for us from a beer perspective to move? And Norfolk put their name in that hat. Richmond did, Columbus, Ohio, several other cities, and I think because they were leveraging. Each of those communities were leveraging some of the opportunities that they had going for them. They really learned a lot about kind of what their future could be by creating platforms or a landscape that was stronger.
Mm-hmm. Well, in our case, this goes to show, and we've talked about this offline, but we have in Charlestown what they call Sweet Shine Distillery, Bloomery Plantation. It's a incredible outsourced Sweet Shine. I mean, it's the shine that we like to drink in West Virginia. They've marketed it so that it's incredibly successful, and everything is made right here in Charlestown on site. They grow their own lemons. I mean, you're not going to find a lemon orchard in West Virginia outside of Charlestown. I can probably guarantee you that. They've done all these wonderful things, and they've put Charlestown on the map. What happens? There's an interpretation of a law somewhere in the ABC code, and the next thing you know, they're basically kind of forced to shut down because of their status as a liquor store according to the ABC the code. So instead of working with the small company, you instantly basically almost force them to try to either go somewhere else or change the law to get them to stay open in Charlestown. Now they can still
open for them to be able to change that. In our case, I know we've seen something like that turn for the good. Senate Bill 602 or something like that a few years ago, which allowed consumption of alcohol on premise of a brewery, right? And so we've seen that be good for us. It might not be 604. I don't know what Senate bill it is.
Well, I mean, we've had those conversations, but the bailment process is what's killing the company. So they'd have to sell their liquor and buy it back at 28% markup, and then sell it at 6% higher, so that they can sort of recoup. Long story short is it's not business friendly for them to sell out of their distillery. Quite frankly, it has little to do with the amount of servings they sample. It's more about what they sell out the back door, or at the front door. So they don't.
Front door, not the back door.
Right. Well, it's
illegal going on.
No, so the long story short is, this is how small business is having a problem dealing with state statutes that are antiquated and out of date, and it's not as easy as just writing a new bill and passing a new bill. It's working with the existing structure so that in the interim you can actually do business. I mean, that was also an issue of poor timing, and one of the reasons I latched on to no whale hunting so adamantly in the last couple of weeks was that happened the same week that a large manufacturing plant was being celebrated out of the town. And so you had the closing of a small business and the glad handing and shaking of hands for welcoming a big one. And it was just, I don't think it was bad PR. I think it was just bad timing. It just looked bad. And what this business has done for the local economy as far as tourism dollars is just astronomical. And to think that they would have to shut down because of an antiquated or misinterpreted law is just, it's mind-boggling, and it's hard to swallow the fact.
Are we about to get our first tear on the no whale hunting show?
I mean, it's frustrating, and so you're left to deal with these things, and try to fight for these things by yourself or with 17 other employees of that business. It's just it's a great example of the lack of power that a small business can have without that sort of infrastructure and help that a larger campaign like no whale hunting could.
Is it a lobbying thing? What do you think is so okay? So are you saying that no whale hunting becomes that lobbyist for small business? Where okay, so I look at things as, okay, here's a problem. The problem is small businesses can't get their name out there, or they can't do the things that they need to. That's kind of what you said.
Yeah.
So then we say, okay, if that's the problem, what's the easiest way for us to create that solution? To remove that red tape, to get rid of barriers to entry, and just make it simple. And so you're saying have a collection of these organizations, and by organizations, it could be the actual business.
Anybody.
It could
be individuals.
The SBAs, the chambers, the Hatches of the world, the Charlestown Nows of the world, any of those things collectively come together and make a stance for those businesses.
Yes, and I mean not just online, but taking it physical too. I mean, you have to show up to these meetings where people are discussing these things, or else they don't know. They don't know the power. I think that a lot of times these small businesses are down there in the state capitol or wherever these laws and codes are being written, and they're lobbying for themselves. And instead
of the landscape, instead of the platform.
Yeah.
For very specific things. So you're saying, and that might be it, right? I mean, it's an interesting thought. So instead of going for one specific thing, you reach out and say, how can we have, so an example, I guess, is I want Norfolk to be the easiest place to start a business in the world, or at least in the States. So how do you take those steps back to make that super easy to do? So that you can achieve that, and you are creating a better landscape, even though there's a specific feature that you want. You're trying to create a stronger platform for people to do those things, and so it's interesting. Another thing is, as we talk about, communities, ultimately we're the United States of America, and sometimes this internal competition, while great and actually finds the right people, we're getting overpassed by other countries in certain things. Now we're not the best place for business anymore, and from an educational standpoint, we're lower on many things, and those are things to be thinking about as well.
And I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about our connection economy and how we're not really supporting the idea that we don't make widgets and stuff anymore. I mean, it's just as an economy, this isn't about big business or small business. I'm just saying in general, it's a technology driven economy, so we have to play catch up. And I've focused extensively on what my state has been doing.
Don't let technology hurt you, right? And that's something that I preach a lot, and people. I use the bookstore as an example. The bookstore is going to close because of the internet. Actually, the bookstore could do better now because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
The bookstore should be selling online, and they should be driving people to their store as an experience, right? Starbucks doesn't have the best coffee in the world, yet they're one of the most profitable, but they create an experience. We need to get on top of technology, learn about it instead of trying to kill it. Your wife is pregnant. Your kid, is it a boy or a girl?
Little girl.
You know, your little girl is going to be smarter than you at the age of 2 than you are at however you are now from a technology standpoint.
Right, right.
And it's amazing. So you're going to give her your cell phone, and she's going to figure out how to tweet people before you even learn how to sign in.
Yep.
Right? And so the brains are wired differently, and kids can do a million different things, which is great. But we have to get behind it, and that excuse can't be there, because if we continue to use it as an excuse, other countries are just going to take over big time.
Right. Well, I mean, these are things I think we could elaborate on, further. I'd really encourage people to use the No Whale Hunting hashtag to email you, to email me, bring up their points and their concerns about small businesses and the way we move forward as a collective, changing economy and bringing some of these concerns to the table. I don't think, like I said, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but in the small time that Charlestown Now has been up and rather successful in developing a web presence for multiple small businesses, I've been able to talk to a lot of municipalities and a lot of businesses outside of my town that all say the exact same thing, and that is no one hears me, or it's oversaturation. I mean, if you, for example, and as much as I love Twitter and Instagram and all the ways of sharing things online, it's oversaturation. The hashtag small biz or hashtag small business, it's oversaturation. You can no longer follow these things. And so hopefully by starting a new No Whale Hunting, we can discuss some of the issues facing small businesses.
Until we become the next oversaturated hashtag.
Yeah, right. But that's kind of the hope.
So just a quick recap. No whale hunting is really an opportunity for us to support our community's businesses and allow them to grow and allow those individuals or companies or families to really make sure that their print is stamped in their communities and that people know about them. That's one of the reasons why we originally put together the State of the Startup Community Address, was so that we could take an inventory of our community and learn about what we had. And No Whale Hunting is, pro the growth of businesses, and whether that's your, Van hates this word, local, or not, it's an opportunity for those people who are looking to grow, an opportunity to do that. And it's something that we want you to become a part of. And so if you're, on the internet, which you would have to be watching this, go to hashtag. Can we start doing that, Van? Hashtag.
No, we will not do that. We'll just do hashtag. We'll just
hashtag or telephone number. No Whale Hunting, all one word. We want to know what's going on in your communities. What are the struggles that you're going on that collectively the No Whale Hunting movement can help embrace and get you through it? That is Van Applegate. He's Van, V-A-N, like the van, at CharlestownNow.com. I'm Zach. That's Zach at HatchNorfolk.com. You can find me on Twitter and most social medias at Zach, Z-A-C-K, Miller 84. And Van, what is your social stuff?
VBA-G-A-T-E, VBA Gate. Little acronym / half abbreviated thing for my name.
There you go. Thank you guys so much for your time. This is something that Van and I have talked about for quite some time, and we just said, you know what, let's stop talking about, let's stop communicating just via phone calls and texts. Let's have our conversations where other people can listen as well, because 1 + 1 is 2, and when you start adding more, I don't know where I'm going on that. I tried.
We're just trying to open it up. I think it's an important conversation to have, and thanks for putting this together for us, Zach.
This is the inaugural edition of the No Whale Hunting Show. You may be listening to this on a podcast, and so be sure to check out the show notes so that you can get the links to go and see some of the other stuff we're doing. We're also we have the nowhalehunting.com domain. It has been purchased, but we are working on some things with it.
Which they can help us with.
Say what?
Which I hope they help us with.
Yes.
On content for that site. Tell us what.
And we also have No Whale Hunting T-shirts. So we'll put that link up as well. You can get them. It's a really interesting concept where you just order them online and it ships straight to you, and continue the no whale hunting movement. And thank you guys so much for your time. Looking forward to continuing this story so that we can do this together. See ya.